Hi everyone, today's long overdue episode is about the top 10 reasons to work on a cruise ship. Since everything came to a standstill point, let's discuss about some of the things we love the most. Today's subject is very dear to me and I've postponed it for long enough. As you've probably noticed, the maritime industry has been one of the most affected from very early stages. My thoughts go to all the employees facing these uncertain times, like the rest of us. The good part is that the oceans are finally catching a break. Not that plastic dissolves any quicker during the pandemic. I'm also grateful to see how cruise lines are taking fantastic care of the crew members remaining on board. If there's anyone in the world deserving cruise ships to themselves, that's the crew. It took a long time for me to produce this video because although it's basic, it's a very sensitive topic to me. I've been asked many questions along the way during both my employment as well as since I've resigned. I never got the chance to answer those questions because they're very complex, but I will do my best to answer them now within this video and the following. You need to understand that this is a very summarized version and any personal experience can vary from one extreme to the other. It's very debatable and it's perfectly acceptable for me to be right or for you to be right. None of these reasons are set in stone, but they summarize the experience of my dear ones as well as mine. Now, starting with the most important, actually I'm gonna start with number 10. Bam! You didn't think this was gonna be one of them, did you? Okay, I don't want to be told off by comparing actual marine and military system to hospitality. Safety is the utmost important aspect when working on ships. I felt so much safer there than I feel now on land. In order for this to happen, many regulations are enforced. You get to do guest drills, crew drills, immigration, US Coast Guard, your cabin is regularly inspected, and you need to follow countless rules. Why is this a good thing again? Because let's face it, some of you, us, really need it. I recommend it to younger people who are confused on what to do in life, or with people who've lived in one place for far too long. Yes, you'll get to do all sorts of crazy exciting things, but you'll become disciplined along the way and you'll understand an impressive, complex and highly functional system. There's a good level of respect instilled and you are held accountable for your behavior and for all of your actions. Again, some people really need it. Okay, that point was more for your mom than for you, so let's move on. Number 9. Working as a team. You might not care about this one, but you need the skill. It's fine if you choose not to use it, if you're 100% independent, if you're a freelancer, but it's a great skill to have. No customer service job, I think, teaches you teamwork like cruise ships do. You can spend over 70 hours per week working together afterwards, sharing accommodation together, socializing together, spending time together in port. You are becoming a team player and you don't even know it. Number 8. You've learned things a certain way, you've become who you are until you step on ships. If you're a flexible person, great, because there's a lot to be thrown at you. That's why it's a great environment for younger professionals, as well as for those in need of new experiences and adventures. You gain a broad perspective on things, culture, habits, and even attitudes. To have a flexible mind is a great asset. Number 7. Standard accommodation and food are included. Paychecks are different, but they're different on land as well. My point is, on land, from the same paycheck, you still need to pay probably, for your accommodation and for your food. So savings aren't always an option. Also, everything is within a few meters away. Your workplace, your accommodation, the buffet or the messes where you eat, the bars, the gyms, the recreation spaces, and all sorts of facilities that the cruise ships provide for the crew members. They're all so close together. On land, you don't socialize and interact with people as often and as much as you do on ships. You have a fully functional city at your feet. Number 6. So we're talking about the top reasons to work on ships, and this point is about being off them. Yes, there's no better feeling after doing cruise ship contracts than to go home and be with your family or friends, or carry on traveling anywhere in between 1 to 3 months, in some cases even longer. The number of holiday days for a 9 to 5 job per year is somewhere around 28 days. Wow. You can have at least a couple of those per year taken all together. It helps you ground yourself, rest, reconnect with everyone, and prepare yourself for a new adventure. Number 5. If I think about it, opportunities are related to job roles or to events or locations. So when I say opportunities, let's say I have in mind the musicians, the orchestra, guest entertainers, artists, performers from all over the world come on board. The musicians need to learn the performance. They rehearse once, maybe twice, and then they get to perform in front of a large audience at least a couple of times. Talking about time pressure. But they get to perform with such varied artists. On land, the chances to get such amazing and often collaborations are not that easy to obtain. Another example of an opportunity is, let's say, the bridge team. They're just up there on the bridge, doing their job, driving the ship. And all sorts of personalities and celebrities are coming up to them, they're being shown around, they get to sign the ship's book, and they have, quite nice conversations. I wouldn't mind random people and celebrities just coming up to me so we can have a nice chat, would you? Another opportunity that comes to mind was when our ship was in Japan in 2019 during the Golden Week, during the Imperial Succession. It was a massive celebration, and this happens twice a century, and we got to be there and we got to witness it, and we got to be surrounded by Japanese people. We got to be in Japan whilst it was happening, so we felt the celebration truly. This wasn't even on my bucket list, but I definitely ticked it after experiencing it. I've also been on board for some Hollywood film premieres, and again, that's not something that was on my bucket list, but I'm really grateful to have been then at the right time and right place. Number 4. I'm not talking about changing time zones. When I say ships are a different universe, a bubble of their own, I also mean how the time flows and flies in there. You live everything more intensely in the same space of time. The way you work, travel, socialize, change as a person and adapt. I call it life on fast forward. So it's a little bit of everything, but when you draw the line at the end of 6 months and compare it to the 6 months you spent before joining the ship, it's a bit different, isn't it? Number 3. Developing a sense of self-sufficiency and independence. You get thrown into responsibilities on your first day. A ship is like a city, a self-sufficient community, a web where everything is interlinked. Once you understand the particularities of your job, you need to understand how it relates to others, to facilitate the workflow, to get things done, to help, and not to cause domino effect problems. You're always held accountable for your actions. If you are a wild card, it will teach you to be independent and gain a sense of self-sufficiency. Number 2.
Welcome to Daniela's vlog. I'm Stacy and I'm not crying today.
Welcome to Daniela's vlog. My name is Daniela.
To Daniela's vlog. Daniela? Yes.
Wombat!
All of a sudden you're around 40 to 50 or even more nationalities. This is one of my personal favorites. Only by being surrounded by so many nationalities you get to broaden your vision. Now that I'm back home in a fairly small city, I understand how narrow-minded and dangerous it can be to live most of your life in one place. Don't get me wrong, you can have all the money in the world, but this goes into experience. And nobody can understand what I'm talking about right now by Googling a thing or two or by purchasing a thing or two. And finally, we get to number one, the most obvious of it all. Dun, 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 dun. Only recently, when I went to Barcelona on a personal holiday, I understood how much money I saved choosing this method of traveling. It's pretty mind-blowing just to wake up in these amazing parts of the world so effortlessly. Well, to be honest, there's a lot of work and effort behind, but the effort doesn't go into preparing the trip because that's already decided by someone else. Even if you have a repetitive itinerary, would you mind saying that you've spent 3 months in the Caribbean? Okay, let's face it, the travel is different because you're only there for a defined amount of hours. However, before getting to a certain location, you're always going to have someone from that nationality on board. They're always going to give you information, residents of the country on board telling you a thing or two prior to arriving, or you're going to have, other crew members who have visited that country before telling you tips and tricks. The ship is going to inform you on what it is you can do there. Then you get to experience, to walk around, to do a tour, to visit, and then the residents of that country, those people are going to board the ship, and you are going to learn so much more by interacting with them on board as guests. And who knows, maybe later on you're gonna get the chance to dock in that port again. So you get an in-depth experience of a country or a culture, even if you're there only for a few hours.